Hey everybody, welcome to Northernland Plays Factory Town. I want to say before we get started, think of this somewhere between a Let's Look At, which is usually a one-off look in my impressions of a game soon after it comes out or just slightly before, and a Let's Play, which is an extended, maybe dozen or multiple dozen part series where we really play something through to either completion or exhaustion, whichever one comes first, and it hasn't gotten there for Isaac yet. The joke makes itself. I've been playing this a little bit off camera. It comes out tomorrow on Steam, so I wanted to show it off a little bit, but don't expect us to take it to its logical conclusion right off the bat. I just wanted to show off a little bit of what I've been playing. So probably a few episodes, let's say. This is the new game from Eric Asmussen, who developed Robot Roller Derby Disco Dodgeball, released back in, what I think it was what do you think, Ruka? 2013? It feels like a 2013 game to me. Thinking about where I was in my life back then. This is totally different. It's a city builder like Banished, with resource gathering, but with less of a focus, at least so far, on survival and misery. Like a Frostpunk, and I'm not insulting that. Frostpunk's an amazing game that may see time on the channel itself as well. But more focused on automation, almost like a Factorio. So you start and you gather resources manually, lumber, stone, wheat, etc., etc. You get buildings that turn that wheat into a more efficient source of food. You turn it into flour. You turn that flour into bread. You take that bread to a building like the general store. All of a sudden, your units now just go to the general store instead of having to manually get the flour themselves from, the grain mill. Is that what it's called? What's it, just a flour mill? Anyway, well, let's just get started. I've still got the tutorial on here as well, just so that I don't lose sight of the way that things should go. But anyway, I think I know the basics right off the bat, because I've started a campaign, or sandbox, a couple of times. So right off the bat, you start with a base, which is really, it can be upgraded once you get the necessary materials, but it just serves as a place to store your ingredients, essentially. So the first steps that we're going to take here, we're going to gather some wood, and then we'll probably gather some stone once we get a little bit of space. And we'll build some paths, and we'll build some houses, and we'll start to expand our base. So I'm going to, manually select our workers here. And we're going to tell them to, you can see what happens, by the way, when we mouse over a tree. And I'll move the camera so you can see. They're going to chop the tree, as indicated by the axe. And then they're going to take the lumber to the base, where it's going to be a stockpile, right? So we're going to have all 4 of our workers cut down trees and deliver lumber to the base for now. With that lumber, we're going to be able to buy a lumber mill, I think. So we've completed our first objective here in the tutorial. No, we can build houses, that's right. So we'll hit B, we'll go to buildings, we'll get a house. And, you can read it for yourself. Houses increase your population limit. It's one of those games that's all about expansion. In the 4X parlance, this is a game that's about expansion. I gotta say, the way our seed is lined up here, I'm not a huge fan of, but I'll put this house over here and hope that my workers can walk through walls or walk through trees to get there. So now, having built the house, you can see we have the ability to hire more workers. More workers lets us get resources faster. That allows us to build more houses and get more resources faster. Eventually, I will say, we have a house limit, which I think is important to bring up. We can only build this many houses with a level 1 base. And you can insert your level 99 boss memes here if you want. If you want to build more houses and get, to the highest levels of population, you need to upgrade your base, which requires more refined materials. But anyway, let's move on. Create workers. You need more workers, so we'll build 2 of those. We can also just do it by using 1 on the number, or on the hotbar, as you can see right there. And then it said place them near your house. I'm just going to say that we did that, even though we put them further away than they needed to be. This one's really important. Earn coins by supplying houses with goods. So you need money. If we mouse over our base, you can see to upgrade, we need 20 coins. We're lucky to have 30 right now, but we're going to hire enough workers to deplete our money a little bit. So we need to bring grain to our houses in order to, basically, it's simulating the family paying you for the grain. And then you use that money to upgrade the infrastructure. So we'll take this worker, we'll send him here to get some food, and we'll take this worker who we just hired, and we'll send him here to get some grain, and then this will generate some coins for us. It's going to take, unless, I might be wrong, they might take it back to the base first. I hope that's not the case. It's not the case. We're a genius. Look at that. It's working. And these guys will just continue to work, I think, until all the trees are depleted, at which point they'll move to the next source of trees that's closest and so on and so forth, to the best of my knowledge. So workers move faster on paths. That's like the easiest thing of all time. We're just going to build a footpath. This is one of the few things in the game that does not cost refined resources. It only costs pure lumber. So, you know, we used a decent amount of lumber to do this, but as a result, our workers will be more efficient. So I think it's probably, in general, a good idea. Now, we can't build a path through this yet, but that's fine. All right, give me the good stuff. Lumber mill. This is where the game starts to take off, because at first you're like, okay, I mean, I get it. It's like RimWorld, but I have to micromanage. You know, where's the fun in that? We're starting to get to the increasing level of complexity that makes this interesting, in my view, from what I've played so far, despite the fact that it's in an early access state. So we're going to build a lumber mill, but first we have to gather 5 stone. So in order to do this, we have enough raw lumber. I think we'll just have one of our workers for now, so we don't forget about it in the future. We'll have one of our workers go out here, and he's going to be real slow, but we're going to have him gather 5 stone. When he gathers 5 stone, when we only have 1 right now, unfortunately, we're going to be able to build a... man, it takes him forever to get through the trees. We're going to be able to build a lumber mill. The lumber mill, and I'm actually going to have a second worker go do this now. The lumber mill turns wood into planks. Planks can then be used as a tool to upgrade our base, as a tool to upgrade our houses, and then as kind of like an intermediate to build things like wagon wheels. And when you get wagon wheels, no longer do you need to take workers who, you know, they can only carry 1 ingredient at a time. You can have workers load up a wagon with 4 ingredients or 4 raw materials and send it. So you can see, like, you get increasingly higher and higher efficiency as time goes on. Hold on here. Okay, so we've done it. And I know from previous experience, if possible, I would like my lumber mill to be adjacent to the water to save me from building another one later, but I think it's too close to the base. So, I mean, I think I kind of got a bad seed for placement, but that's okay. Oh, you know what? We need one available population. That's the problem there. So I have too many workers. So I'm actually going to delete one of the stone lords for now, because we need, I guess, somebody to take the time to build a lumber mill. Sorry, I was just incorrect completely about this. So we're going to build our lumber mill, and again, I want it to be on the water so it can make paper later. Not that you have to worry about that right now. I think if it's on a blue tile, that means it has paper access. Okay, so now we got a whole bunch of new stuff unlocked. Crates, which can store goods. A grain mill, which can turn wheat into flour. A workshop that can turn planks into wagon wheels, I think. And chutes, ramps, blocks, arches, benches. I don't know about benches for now, but you know how in Factorio, the conveyor belt is like the iconic image of that game? I don't know what it would be for RimWorld now that I think about it. Probably a kill box with a bunch of automated sentry turrets. The iconic imagery, in my experience with Factory Town so far, is the chute. Instead of having conveyor belts, which you can unlock later, but I haven't gotten to that point of the tech tree yet, you use gravity. So you can essentially have a chute that is a tube, or not a tube necessarily, but a ramp. So now, let me give you an example. I'm not going to build it yet, but I am going to pause temporarily. Since our lumber mill is over here, maybe we don't want to have all of our workers walk all the way to the lumber mill to deliver goods, because it's kind of a waste of their time. What we can do instead, do we need planks? We do need planks for this first. So what we can do instead is build a chute. And if we build a chute, it's basically just a tube that goes all the way up to like here, for example. Then all the workers can just chop, 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 put something on the tube, and the tube will carry it into the lumber mill. And then someone down at the end of it can grab the planks and deliver them wherever. So the first thing we're going to do, and it's going to take us a little while to get there, to be honest, but we're going to start building planks. It takes 2 wood and 3 seconds, and then it makes 1 plank. So here's what we're going to do. Are you a stone? No, you're not a stone deliverer. You are going to deliver planks. Let me make sure I got this right. You're going to deliver planks to the lumber mill. So his goal is to supply the lumber mill, and if I let him go, he should start grabbing some of the wood, from the base, dropping it into the lumber mill. Now the lumber mill has 2 planks. It spits out a... sorry, it has 2 logs. I've got my verbiage all mixed up. Because it has 2 logs, it took 3 seconds and automatically turned those logs into planks. And I know you're like, NL's losing his mind. Wrong again. What we want to do is make sure that we continue to grow our population here. So I'm going to pop down another house. We will upgrade these houses, by the way. You know what? I'm going to pop down another 2 houses. And then I'm going to hire 3 workers. Why 3 workers instead of 4 workers? Because I want to leave 1 population space open in case I need to build some new buildings. Then we're going to pop down these 3 workers, which costs us gold, as you can see. And I'm going to have one of the workers deliver wheat to one of the new houses so we can continue to get gold. Sorry, I got it all backwards here. Here. Supply house with wheat. Even better. We'll just give you the direct order. And I'm going to have you supply this house with grain. That's what I mean. Alright, so they should just be doing that automatically now. Good stuff. But what happened to the 3rd worker? What did I do with that guy? I think I also made him do something I shouldn't have done. What I wanted him to do was grab the stuff from the lumber mill and deliver it to nearest, which in this case is going to be the base. So I'm probably, you're like, dude, stop speaking so slowly. I understand, you know, I have an understanding of how to play these games. But I'm going to, for those of you who are watching and are like, what the heck's going on, brother? Let me explain it to you, okay? We got a bunch of people going in, chopping logs, delivering those logs to the base. And by a bunch, I mean literally 1. Somebody is then going from the base. They're going to the base, I should say. They grab a log, and they're dumping it into the lumber mill. The lumber mill is then going, and it's spitting out a plank every 2 logs. And then there's a dude that grabs the plank and delivers it to the base. So you can see for yourself, you know, our log supply will probably diminish slowly, but you know, it'll be resupplied constantly by this guy, but probably at a rate that is not at replacement or above. But the planks will grow. Basically, every 2 logs that gets taken from here, 1 plank will show up probably around 10 seconds later when you factor in delivery time and stuff like that. So now we've got all of our houses are supplying us with gold. They're happy, which is important as well for upgrading our stuff later. We're now producing planks, which is the first step of our tech tree. So now we can start to go a little faster. So we're going to start upgrading houses. So we got our first house right here. I'm going to upgrade it. Cost 10 coins, 5 planks, no big deal. Upgraded houses consume goods faster, which is good because it gives you more money, as long as your resources hold out. So now that we've done that, what do they want us to do next? Upgrade your base. Before I do that, I'm actually just going to upgrade all of our houses. And now we've got way more population limit, as you can see. So we'll hold off on hiring more workers for the time being, because I think we got a decent sort of equilibrium. I will hire 1 worker, because I think we could use a little bit of a faster stone gathering. And we got a future problem. I don't know how big the consequences are, but the future problem that we face right now is that we're going to have an issue with grain, because this grain patch is not going to last. So we should probably pretty soon build a path out to this one. And I'm actually going to go back on what I just said. I'm going to hire another worker, because I think, logically speaking, we should have twice as much log supply to get plank output without running out of logs. And we're always going to need logs in order to make paths. Okay. Now, upgrade your base. When you upgrade your base, that allows you to build more houses. When you build more houses, you get more population. When you get more population, you get resources faster. You're starting to see the accelerating effect, probably. We need 4 happiness. So before we do that, we need to have another house. Because if we don't have another house, we don't have another happy. It's a great idea for a real estate agent slogan. So we're just going to hire 1 worker. And you know what? Let's get out in front of this. For no reason other than my own convenience slightly later. So my good friend who has just been hired, yes, you will deliver grain to the household in which you exist, but I will also upgrade this house. So now they're happy because they're being supplied with wheat. What can I say? It's a smart idea. And these guys, by the way, are, I guess, algorithmically determining where they should go. If it's faster for them to get up to this grain patch, they're going to go to that grain patch, is the way that it appears to be working, at least. So you can see it is micromanagement, but it's not like an insane amount. At least not yet. Mostly they figure out, you know, what they're supposed to do. If you have to change them around later, you might run into trouble. So our base can be upgraded. Now we can make a food market and more houses. Let's see what they want us to do next. Build a food market. Markets can be loaded with items, and then nearby houses will automatically buy from them. It's much more efficient and convenient than delivering goods to individual houses. So now, instead of having 4 workers each individually supply these houses, and I'm realizing now we actually have 5 workers, which is terribly unnecessary, but I think. We can just have one building that they all deliver to, and then automatically the houses will grab their stuff. So we're going to buy a food market, which is in here in the buildings menu. We've got the resources, and you can see, if you zoom out, it's area of effect. So we're going to place the food market down like, well, I mean, I think right here is totally fine. It's a simulated supply. Like, you won't see people going from the market to the houses and vice versa. But look at that. Already, everybody that was supplying grain to a house is now supplying grain to nearest, except... Hold on, let's pause. What's your duty? You should supply... If I manually made you supply grain to house, you're probably going to continue to do that. So I'm just making sure. This is micromanagement, but it's micromanagement because I'm a dummy. So I'm just manually having them supply the market with food. Let's just make sure that's, you know, everybody's still going in that direction. Now, we got a decent amount of planks. We're running out of logs. So I'm actually going to, again, go one step ahead of myself here, and we're going to deliver tree to base. We might be we might be supplying... Well, wait, here's the thing. We're pulling a bunch of logs out. We're putting them in the base, but they're getting delivered to the... I don't think it'll matter. I think, you know, maybe my math was just a little funky for whatever reason. Let's try a little experiment here. Oh, my mistake. And let's start dealing with chutes, okay? Now, this might not work, but I hope it does. So in order for a chute to work, check this out. We're going to build essentially like a continuous line... And it's not going to work because there's a tree there. So let me, I mean, we could leave those there. I was hoping to use the delete button. The thing is, I don't want to block the path by putting a chute here. So I think I've actually just, I've chosen a bad example. We could deal with the terrain, but I don't want to deal with the terrain. I just want to see if maybe I can delete. Delete? Nah. Okay. Again, early access is okay. I just don't want my dudes to be trapped. And oh, you know what? I'm extremely dumb. Check this out. We'll just do it from this side instead. So, if we just build a chute like this, can't build on uneven terrain. So I think we actually, let's pause for a second. This is my first real test of skill, and I'm going off script from the tutorial, so who knows what's happening, dude. But I think if we build like a scaffold ramp like this, then we can build a chute. And then we have to pretty much rinse and repeat. Sorry, this is the first time I've had to deal with uneven terrain. So the fact that it's working is honestly a pretty good sign. And I think we actually need a scaffold block here. Let me see if I got this under control. And then on top of that scaffold block, probably investing a little bit too much in resources. This should now... Yo! Okay. If this works, I'm gonna feel like an actual genius. Which is sad, because it's just gravity. Something with which I'm relatively familiar. We can even try it right here, just to see if it works. So let's build the end of our chute. And then I might need to lower it. I also probably should have turned it. You know what I mean? Like, it should come out like that instead. And now I think I've done an incredible disservice. But let's see. Hey, worker. Let's see if he does it. What happens if he... I've had some collision issues in the... Yeah, he's like, I don't know what to do. Okay, that's my bad, dude. Go ahead and supply that grain to the base. I'll figure out how to destroy these, okay? But the idea is that all these workers would just... Instead of walking all the way down, they would just put their wheat in here, and it would go clunk, and you would be good to go. Let me see. Terrain block up. That's not what I'm looking for. Is there a delete button? Build. Remove. There we go. Yeah, okay. Let's try this again. I'd really like to make it work because, I mean, it's not only the next logical step up, but it also looks cool as well. So let's, how would we do this? From the start, we would have you... Yeah, we already had it set up. There you go. Rotate like that. And then again, we're just going to do some trial and error here. Still doesn't have it under control. I don't know if it'll work if we do it the way that I'm trying to do it right now, which is basically, you know, looking at gravity in the face and laughing, saying, ha ha ha, your gravity does not apply to me. Like, obviously, if you're looking at this, I hope you're saying what I'm saying, which is this man should not have the ability to... cannot navigate. That's fair. But what if we hit you with a little bit of that? Cannot navigate. You know what? I've done it to myself. What about just nearest? Oh, it... Alright, so they do like the chute, but it has to go downhill. Okay, hold on, we're getting there. I know this seems a little ridiculous, but it's all going to be worth it in the end, brother. In theory, if they could even just step up here and pop it in, I'd be a happy man, but we haven't got the staircase built yet. Cannot navigate. Okay, when we build a staircase, because we don't have access to that tool yet, we need a workshop for it. It's totally gonna work, dude. The only other thing I could think of is, like, what if we build this? Can you navigate now? He doesn't like it. That's fine. We'll leave this up here for the future and just have everybody deliver to where it's needed. Sorry, that was a little detour there. We're gonna get there. That chute will work, I think, given time. So we need to build a grain mill. It turns grain into flour, which can be sold for a higher price. In order to do this, we need a population, 30 gold, 10 planks, 10 stone. Probably the easiest money ever made. So we will build that, I mean, right next to this wheat patch. And then we will have it turn 3 grain into 1 flour. And let me build a path real quick, because people are going to be delivering here. And look at that. Now they've started delivering all of their grain to nearest, which is the grain mill. But these guys, they're coming down here, I believe, because the grain mill was occupied making some freaking flour. And now they're waiting for the flour to be done. I just wanted to see if anybody automatically took the flour. The answer to that question is no. So what we're going to do is have a worker automatically deliver flour to nearest. And in this case, nearest should mean the store, the food market, I should say. So now we got a pretty decent supply. All I'm going to say is that we should, for every 3 people delivering grain to the grain mill, we should have 1 person delivering flour to the market. But I think that's working out because these guys are in kind of like an equilibrium where one of them delivers raw grain down here, which is probably unnecessary and suboptimal, but whatever, here we are. Build a workshop. Okay, the workshop allows you to craft wood wheels, conveyor belts, and many other useful and valuable items, such as a staircase that we can use to minimize the travel time for our friends here. So, workshop, build, buildings, workshop. I'm going to place this, I mean, it really should be close to the plank area. As unfortunate as it is to put it, like, up on a hill here. Dude, you know what? I'm just going to toss it right there. So now we can actually build half stairs. I don't know if we need to manufacture those bespoke, but check this out. So now they're going to want us to make wooden wheels. Oh, they want us to make barns. Okay, so hold on. We're building all the basic materials. We're going to build a barn. A barn is a place for us to put materials we've built that we're not using yet. Oh, you're delivering stone to the barn. I don't know, dude. That might not be optimum or optimal. Create a wagon. Okay, before we do that, let me see this workshop. Oh, no, sorry. As a result of the workshop, we can now make wagon wheels. But before we do that, build me a half staircase. It costs 2 planks. And then let's just test the theory here. Oh, come on. Okay, I have one last step in getting this chute to work. I have seen it work. No, you coward. Please. Look at that. Genius level strategies. Now, the one thing I don't know, even to this day, is how do we make it so that this is considered nearest? I don't know. We might have to do that manually for right now. And there is one other problem. By the way, they're not, just to prove it, they're not sitting here. They're actually getting delivered. They get sucked up into the store. I can't believe we've completed our first successful shoot. But the other problem is, basically every unit reserves a spot on the chute, so I can show you something. If I have, like, where do you go? You go here? Okay, that's perfect. I'm gonna have you deliver to here instead. If I have you deliver to here, people have to wait. One moment. Hello. Well, with that chute being under control, and actually our units don't seem to be jamming up very much. They seem to be doing a pretty good job. And you can run the math for yourself. It's like an incremental game, right? Like they're probably pulling slightly more grain out at a time than they otherwise would have been as a result of the fact that they're not walking down there. Mind you, this is bad because we should still have you deliver to nearest because we need to supply the flour mill. Otherwise, this dude's just standing here. And you get the idea. Anyway, I think it's a good first episode here to give you a little bit of a foundation. We got the scaffolding of our community set up. Next episode, we can start to work on our workshop. You know, we got some chutes set up. Not really actually slowing us down at all there. So I think it's actually probably a relatively sensible approach. And you can see the necessary way we would extend this. Like, for example, why are we wasting our time walking the wood down to the base, when instead we could just chop the wood, put it in a chute, and send it to the base, and then have the same dude just deliver it? Your wood chopping efficiency would be better because you spend more time chopping, less time walking. Now, the real magic, you know, is when you get all these working in conjunction, your workers are working 100% efficiency. For now, we're not there yet. That's okay. Check out Factory Town. It comes out on Steam tomorrow. $20 early access. We've only barely scratched the surface. We'll be back in the next episode to increase the complexity even more. If you enjoyed the episode and the variety on the channel, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, though, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. See ya!